Yeah.
We're live! Yay! Okay, hello to anyone who's watching.
Hi.
Sorry we're late. Technical difficulties is this
difficulties.
Okay, so we want to start off with announcing the winners of all of the books from this week. So I'm going to start off with Sundays, which was the makeup challenge, and the Bookish Blonde, aka Ashley, won this challenge because she did an amazing performance of the Silent Brothers makeup. That was really cool. And I'm going to link all of the winners' videos down below once this is not live anymore, just so you guys know. So then Monday.
Okay, so I hosted Monday, and my challenge was to change a book scene. And the winner for Monday's challenge is Bangity from Bangity Bangs, because he did like the absolute funniest ending to Throne of Glass. Oh my god, it was absolutely hysterical. But he definitely deserved that win because it was super accurate and funny. On to Tuesday.
So I hosted Tuesday, and the challenge was the cosplay challenge, and my winner is Sarah from Sarah Sunbeams, and she did a cosplay of Hermione, and I thought it was just very innovative and funny, and the voiceovers were hilarious. So Sarah will be winning the selection by Kiara Cass, so yay Sarah!
I forgot to say, Bangity from Bangity Bangs is winning The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is a really, really good book, just so you guys know.
Yeah, I forgot to say that The Blonde is winning Avarat by Clive Barker, which is also one of my favorite books.
She just commented, I think she missed the fact that she won, but yeah, the Blonde won.
And then we have Wednesday, which is Kelly.
Yes, I hosted Wednesday. I did the DIY challenge, and my winner for the DIY challenge was Julia from Jules Reads, because she did a book nook, which was amazing and so cute, and now I want to put one in my room. I just thought I could not pick that one.
Okay.
And then we have Thursday.
Oh
yeah, sorry. Winning since she's been gone by Morgan Matson, by the way.
So I hosted Thursday, and that was Book Characters Me, and I just want to start off by saying, and they can attest to this, that it took me 2 days to pick a winner. 2 days, because it was so hard. But I ended up picking Samantha from Samantha Books. Why? I always struggle with that username. Every time. So I can't tag you anything. But no, she won because I seriously watched that video like 5 times. It was dying laughing at everyone. It was just so cleverly written and put together, and the ending. I loved it.
Someone's removing
the winner. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and you won Silver Linings Playbook. I got this quick. Just throwing that out there. But I ended up picking.
Guys, somebody's reverbing.
Somebody's playing the video.
That was me. That was my fault. Sorry.
It's okay. I hosted again Friday. I hosted a Bookish Impressions video, and my winner is Hannah from Spells and Words, because she did this like phenomenal 4-minute video, and it contained so many book characters. It was literally like 6 of the challenges combined into one. It was like change a scene, it was Bookish Impressions, it was cosplay. It was so good. Every character was so accurate. So Hannah is going to be winning The Archived by Victoria Schwab. Totally forgot that. But yeah, Hannah is my winner. And we go to yesterday for the final day.
Yesterday was my hosting day again, and the challenge was to write or act out what happens after a book ends, and Michael Booklion wins this because I couldn't handle the PETA and the Katniss, and I also loved that he took the towel, he used the towel as a girl's hair in a different video, and it was just like on his head, and then in this one he like twisted it, and I was like, that's clever. So if only for this towel, that's why you won. And you're winning Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by the author that I can never say his name. So.
Me either, it's okay. So everyone that won, the host will probably be contacting you within the next couple of hours, just so you guys know, so we can send you the books that you guys won. But thank you guys to everyone who participated. All these videos were freaking amazing, and I know I'm not alone in saying that. Right?
Yeah, definitely. And it was just amazing to see that there was more than one or no entries. Like, Wow.
Yeah, I really thought it was just gonna be
The thing is, people put so much effort into their videos. Like, they were awesome. I was just in awe. I was like, how are we supposed to pick? I just did not expect that many good videos. I really didn't.
They were
Yeah.
so funny too. Like there was some funny videos. I loved watching these videos.
So funny.
Like, there were some that I was just like, oh, hey, best friend, like, come watch this video. I know you have no idea what's going on here, but watch it because it's really funny. Hey, Mom, watch this video. It's really funny. I just wanted to, like, show everybody because your intros are so good. I just wanted to show them off to everybody.
And then they go, what kind of community are you on YouTube?
Weirdos.
You guys all did phenomenal this week, so thank you to anyone who posted any entry because they were all absolutely amazing.
So good.
So now we're going to move into announcing some summer biannual bibliothon things.
It is the biannual bibliothon, so this happens twice a year, so you don't have to wait till January next year, so we're going to be starting it again in a couple of months.
Yes.
Go on, Cassie.
The dates for the summer biannual bibliothon are June 21st through 27th. So we tried really hard to make sure that it's not during any college semesters and it's after the high school semester gets done. I know that like sometimes, we can't deal with everything, but we tried really hard to get the majority of people out of school because I know school is annoying. And so we're still working on, video challenges and reading challenges and all of that stuff is still working, but we have 2 hosts joining us for our summer biannual bibliothon. So all of us will still be involved, the 5 of us, but we will also have Selena from OXXX-Snap13. Yes, I have to do this every time I say his name. And Sierra from Sierra Reads. These 2 girls are the ones who entered the New Moon rap parody video. If anyone watched that.
It's under
Oh
the
my
DIY
God.
challenge. So if you go to my DIY video, you can see it.
Yeah, it was really great. So they will be joining us as hosts this coming summer. And we will also be making our own biannual bibliothon YouTube channel for this summer. So all of the videos that are like the host videos and the live show and everything will be on that channel once it's made. And we'll obviously tweet out all of that information once we have it up and running because we haven't done that yet.
You guys will definitely be hearing more from us in the coming months as to what's going on with the summer biannual bibliothon. I really can't talk today. This is gross.
Or did I totally spaced out for that?
So is that all for the announcements, or are you ready to talk about the book?
I think so. Yeah, let's get into it.
I have one last thing to add. If any of you guys because we're all going to be posting separate videos later, like announcing, also making sure everybody knows that they won. But in each of ours, we're also going to be talking about our, special, what do we call it?
Honorable mentions, yeah.
Honorable mentions, yeah. So if you want to see if you were honorable mention, those will be talked about a little for our individual challenges as well, just in case you're curious.
Mine probably won't be up till tomorrow because I'm going to work right after this, but definitely keep an eye out for everyone's channel, and we'll be announcing that soon. We're also going to post them on Twitter as well. So.
Okay, let's get into this book. Can we start with some non-spoiler stuff, like how we enjoyed it and stuff like that?
Yeah. Okay,
For me, it was like a roller coaster.
Okay, for those of you who aren't aware, we're talking about My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins. So, yeah, those are the 2 different copies, the one that Red's holding and the one I'm holding. And this was our group book for the Biannual Bibliothon. I know a lot of people read it beforehand. There might even be some viewers who haven't read it with the Biannual Bibliothon and are just here for the live show. But yes, we're going to be discussing My True Love Gave to Me. We're going to start off with non-spoilery stuff, just general reactions to the stories. But later we will get into spoilers, so if you haven't read it, we'll let you know what to cut out.
So, Brittany, why don't you start with how you liked it generically? Maybe your favorite 2 and your least favorite 2, or 1, however many.
Well, for me, I'm sure if you followed all my update videos, you can see that this book killed me in the readathon because if anyone knows me, I am not a contemporary person, first of all. So I really, really struggled with this book. Overall, I gave it around a 3 to kind of meet in the middle, but I was debating between
Oh no.
2 and 3. I may be one of the only ones for this book. But I found I'm just pulling this up here. My favorite one.
Oh no, Brittany!
White.
Wait, Brittany.
Say it again, because you froze.
Cutting out.
Did you lose me?
Yeah, just repeat your favorites and least favorites again.
All right. Am I good? Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
So my favorite ones were Stephanie Perkins and Kirsten White were my 2 favorite ones. So I had I like that Stephanie Perkins was right in the middle, so it kind of pushed me to keep going. And then my least favorite ones, and I think this is in the norm, was the second story. I think it was Kelly something. I can't remember the last name, but the second one was. Yeah, it was like fantasy based. That was my least favorite one, and then Mara McIntyre one, the one with the baby Jesus and beer buckets or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Beer buckets and baby Jesus.
Yeah, I have it. I just want to say I have it on my Kobo, so it's hard for me to flip through Kobo.
I
So
have it written here if you need it.
I have it written down in my head. Yes. So those are my favorites and least favorites.
All right, Emma.
My favorite. Okay, so I enjoyed the book. I was just a little disappointed because it was so hyped up, and I just really wasn't feeling some of these stories. Like, as I was reading it, like I was just constantly picking out flaws in every single story. And I think when we get into discussing them individually, I'll talk more about it. But Brittany said she's not a contemporary person. I am just like a very, very harsh contemporary critic. So, and I hate short stories, so just combine the two. And I had a feeling this book wasn't going to be my favorite, but I did really enjoy it. And I went through it really quickly, which is always nice. So my favorite is definitely Stephanie Perkins, and I had a feeling it would have been Stephanie Perkins anyways. My second favorite was probably Rainbow Rowell's, which was the first one. Least favorites. Oh God, let's try and narrow these down. I think it was my second to least favorite, or my least favorite is probably the second one, The Lady and the Fox by Kelly Link. And my second least favorite is probably, I think it's the Star of Bethlehem. I think that's the one when they were in the country house, right? The one where the girl flew. Yeah. Okay. So that's my second least favorite, but we'll talk more about it.
Kelly.
I think I'm the same with everybody, which I did enjoy the contemporary stories because obviously I love contemporary. But I was kind of, I don't know, I did not enjoy the book like everybody thought I would. There were some stories that I did not like at all, and then there were some that I loved. So, but I only gave 3 stories a full 5 stars. But the 2 that were my favorite is definitely the first one, which was Rainbow Rowell's, and then Stephanie Perkins' story. Those were my favorite. But my least favorites were The Lady and the Fox. I thought that story was just so weird and confusing. And then also Your Temporary Santa, the one where he sneaks into the house of Santa. I did not like
I'm conflicted about that one. I'm still very conflicted.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. He was very whiny, but we'll talk about that more later.
Red.
So I think probably my 2 favorite stories were Stephanie Perkins' one. I can't remember what it's called. It's a Yuletide Miracle, Charlie Brown. And then I really like The Girl Who Woke the Dreamer. Even if the ending was a little bit rushed, that I would still consider that my top 2. And then for the ones I like the least, well, I would say just didn't even like it all. I can't even say like the least because I didn't like them. That would be Propheslaw, the Holly Black story. We'll talk about my thoughts on that one, but And then Star of Bethlehem by Allie Carter. I hated that story so much.
Me too. Yes. Mutual hate in books is the best.
So true. All right, so my favorite 2 were the Yuletide one by Stephanie Perkins, right? That's correct, right?
Yeah.
And then I really liked what was that one?
Try and describe it.
It was the other. Oh, The Cook. The Cook.
Oh, I like
the Christmas California one.
Yeah.
That one's probably my 3rd favorite.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like that one. And then
Really
Rainbow
good.
Rowells comes up with a hard third because
Actually, I think mine's the same as yours, Cassie. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I did like the Christmas California one better than I liked the Rainbow Round one, but it's a close third. So I'm changing my order.
3 top stories in the book in general. You just can't do it.
That's very true.
Yeah, and then my least favorite stories were the second one, The Lady and the Fox, just like all of us in this live show, because I just did not like that story. I felt like it needed a lot more time for it to get good, and so like for being a short story, I just felt like it was a bad decision to make a story about this guy that keeps coming back every Christmas, because it means that a lot of time has to pass, but you're not showing us any time. And then
And oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, it's okay. Say what you want to say.
I was just on the Lady and the Fox story. I feel like I liked what she was trying to do with it. I liked the idea that there is like this, ghost that comes back when it snows every Christmas. There is a kind of sort of paranormal, magical feeling about the idea of it. But unfortunately, it just fell short. I feel like she tried to take on too much for a short story. She couldn't explain the lady. And I don't know, and I kind of feel like as the girl was older in her interactions with the ghosts, were a little bit weird for me, because I feel like he's a ghost, and here he is like doing all these very alive things with her, and it was just strange to me, and I don't know, I feel like it like broke the whole ambiance of the story.
Yeah, I agree. And then my other least favorite story was, oh God, I don't even know. I don't like after I liked Crumple Sloth, whatever it's called. But what was the story right after that one?
That was What the Hell Have You Done, Sophie Roth?
Oh, I liked that one too.
What happened in that? I don't even remember what happened in that.
That was the cook one.
Yeah, that's the cook one. So maybe
Okay.
I
No.
guess
What the hell have you done, Sophie Roth? That's the one where they go to the diner and she's at college and she meets the other guy with the Christmas carols and then
that
it's
was
one of the
totally
sweaters.
I really liked that one too.
Yeah, I like
Which
that one
one's the Yuletide one?
That was Stephanie Perkins's.
With the Christmas tree in the apartment.
Oh, I liked that one too. Okay, when I said I liked the Yuletide one, I didn't mean that one. I meant the one where she goes to the diner with the black guy.
Oh, okay.
So I got those two.
That was
Sorry,
the
I don't have the book in front of me, so I'm having like a trouble getting them together.
I have my notes like sitting next to me. That's why I keep looking over.
Yeah.
And I keep like flipping it back open. I don't know why I don't just keep it open to the contents page.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what my second least favorite story would be because I really liked all of them. Most of them.
Really?
I just really hated that second one. That was awful. But I'm gonna go into like my opinion of the like book altogether, like the fact that these 12 or however many stories were put into one book, and I felt like it was kind of weird that some of them were magical and like the second one with the guy who comes back every Christmas, and then there was like the Crumple Sloth one with the weird magical creatures, but then like some of them were completely normal and like in this world.
I guess, yeah, I was personally just expecting them all to be contemporary. Like, I haven't read from every single author in here, but like, I know that like Holly Black and Laini Taylor write like fantasy, and I was like, oh wow, I guess they're really pushing their boundaries with this contemporary book. I really thought it was all contemporary. And like Holly Black started out normal in my opinion. Like I thought it was just cool that she chose like a more fantasy route with it because of it wasn't surrounded by Christmas. It was the Crumple Sloth thingy. And I was just really expecting it all to be contemporary. So when like the ones got paranormal, I was like, this feels so out of place. Like I feel like a lot of the stories didn't fit together.
Yeah, me too. And
The book didn't really flow very much. Like you never knew what to expect. It was just like all of a sudden you're in modern time, then you're with angels, and then all of a sudden you're in the North Pole. Like it was just very, what's happening?
Oh, that's the story I didn't like.
I like that one.
I like that one.
The ending.
It was like a really depressing version of Elf.
Yeah, I love it. You're ruining it for me.
I don't know. I remember talking to Red about it, and I really liked it. I don't know, because I think Elf is one of my favorite movies ever. So I think that just having that feel of like elves and stuff during Christmas was just like such a good story. I know it ended like really abruptly and kind of like, okay, that's the end. So that kind of was weird. But I really liked it.
It left a lot to the imagination, which I did not like. I don't want to have to figure out what she's going to choose.
Even books.
I had a conversation with Red about that.
Also, one thing just talking about like the book in general and the types of stories that were in it, I think probably the purpose of the book.
Oh no.
Oh no, I thought that was just me.
Kind of like depend what type of flavor from each of these authors that you like, and they stick with what they do so that everybody kind of gets what they want. So like, I mean, I'm not against that, you know, and it's obviously just takes all place around the same time of year, but I think that by naming it My True Love Gave to Me is a little bit more deceptive, because I feel like My True Love Gave to Me is a title that sounds contemporary, and I don't think that was the aim of the book, to be entirely contemporary.
Right.
I just feel like it's poor marketing.
I wanted to ask because we're still in the non-spoiler section. Are you guys familiar with a lot of these authors? Because I read a couple, but I haven't read all of them, and like I don't know if that had an impact on me, because I love a lot of these authors, but like I don't know if it was just that they were writing in like a short story format, because it's completely different from a novel. But I was just wondering if you guys like know a lot of them, or like have read from a lot of them.
I read 8 of the 12. I read 8 of the 12 authors.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I read out of 5, but I have books from a lot of the others, and a lot of them I haven't heard of.
Like Kirsten White, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that she wrote. I could be wrong. I might be getting her mixed up with a different author, but I'm pretty sure Kirsten White wrote like this I think it's called Paranormalcy, the Paranormalcy series.
Yeah, she wrote Paranormalcy.
Okay, yeah, and I really like that series because it's so quirky and different, and the main character is just so funny and quirky, and I really love that series. And I kind of got like a similar vibe out of this one. Maybe this one was a little bit more, I don't know, not dramatic, but like, you know, less whimsical. It's a little bit less whimsical, a little more down to earth than Paranormalcy, as far as the characters go. But I still really liked it, and I think I've really become a fan of Kirsten White's writing.
I totally agree, because I love Paranormalcy too.
Yeah, I read all of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, like the whole thing. So I was really curious on reading Laini Taylor's story as a contemporary, because I don't know if any of you read Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
I haven't read it.
It's really out there and like super weird fantasy. So I was really curious, and I think reading her series before this story, I think that's why I could appreciate it a little bit more, because I understood how she writes, although I think it was very challenging for her to put it into such a small story.
Which one is Laini Taylor's?
The last one with the dreamer.
The dreamer one. I really like that.
And like I loved one of the things I read from Jenny Han, and I absolutely hated the other things. Like I'm really connected with her, and I ended up not liking her story. So I don't know if it had anything to do with the fact that I've had bad experiences with her writing, but I wasn't too pleased with her story either.
I've liked all of her stories, but this story to me was just, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like it, because I've liked every book that I've ever read by Jenny Han, but I did not like the story that was in this book.
I have never read Jenny Han before, and I love this story.
Yeah, Jenny Han is the elf one, right?
That's why I was asking, because I feel like we all get like these preconceived notions. Like if Cassandra Clare wrote a really crappy one, I'd probably still say I loved it because I loved it. Like I was just wondering, because I know that we've all read different authors in here, and like I didn't know if like our different opinions on it had anything to do with our experiences with the authors.
But I feel like that can backfire too, because like I love Rainbow Rowell. Fangirl is one of my favorite books. I think Rainbow Rowell is amazing. However, it's not that I disliked Midnight. I didn't dislike it at all. I liked it. However, I feel like I expected more from Rainbow Rowell, because I'm used to being punched in the soul with happiness and just overall good feeling. And for me, Midnights or whatever it's called, it just was so, it doesn't stick out in my mind. Like if I think about the stories from this book, this is probably a story I'd forget about. It's just not. Yeah. It's not meant. I can't think of the word. It's not
memorable.
significant.
It doesn't stick out in my mind. I feel like it's an easy story to forget, and I feel like I expected more from her because I love her other books.
Well, I've only read Landline by Rainbow Rowell, and reading Midnight, it had very much the same feeling while I was reading it. And it's also set in Omaha, which is where the family is originally from, which I think she keeps.
That's in Fangirl too.
Yeah, that's where
she's probably just from here.
Yeah, she's from Omaha, so that's like a regular thing that she does. But also, the Midnight story felt like the married couple that are having issues in Landline that the story is about. It felt like their high school days to me. And I think the husband is named the same name. Like, they're both named Noel, I think. So, like, it was very similar. And I kind of liked that because it felt like a continuation of the story, even though it's not supposed to be connected at all. But also, like, I could see why people might have an issue with that, because then it's like, well, can't you write about something else?
Yeah, that's how, honestly, like, I feel the same way, because, like, I noticed a lot of similarities into people, like, the author's actual novels as their short stories, and it bothered me because I'm like, I wanted you to push your boundaries. Like, this is completely different from anything I've read from you before. And I hate when authors just take the same characters and slap on, like, a different location or a different hair color, and it's the same, like, it's like a carbon copy of the same character. And I know Red is thinking about Holly Black at the moment as I say that. Like, even though I haven't read anything from Holly Black, like, I like when there's, like, diversity in an author's writing, and I felt like a lot of these similarities, like you said you liked them, I personally didn't love them.
Yeah. I thought I had never read anything by Holly Black before, but then I realized that when I was in middle school, I read the series called Tice. Have you by Holly Black? I didn't even know that was the same author, because it was like before the time when I knew authors' names.
Yeah.
And
actually,
go ahead.
I read Holly Black before. I read The Iron Trial, and I didn't like The Iron Trial.
I hated The Iron Trial.
I completely blame Holly Black for that, because I know I totally blame Holly Black for that.
I think I read Wicked by her, which was witches or something, and I was not a big fan of that story either with her. So
I realized that I don't know. Okay, so I know obviously Emma already knows my thoughts on this because she just totally called me out. But right, so I have a very conflicted, like, really, ideas about Holly Black. One of the things that bothers me that relates, I think Krampuslof is the only story I've read by her that didn't win me over by the end. Usually what happens when I read Holly Black's books, like with Tithe, with The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, usually what happens is I don't really care for the beginning of it. I don't like the protagonist. Usually the minor characters aren't so bad. I tend to like those more. But usually I dislike the protagonist that she writes. But however, by the end of the story, by the end of the book, even if I don't particularly like the protagonist anymore, I end up really, really liking the story because she finishes strong.
That's
with the exception of Krampuslof, because with Krampuslof, I just didn't like any of it. But the biggest thing that bothers me, and I saw this with Krampuslof, and I was really hoping that she would change it up, and that's the fact that if you look at the personalities of all of her protagonists in her books, they're the same person. They're all super flawed. They all drink. They all smoke. Like, and not that I have a problem with a flawed character, but I don't want the same character over and over again, just slapped with new hair color and a new name. And I just felt like by reading Krampuslof and whatever the main character's name was, because I don't even remember, because it's just not even special enough to remember. But I felt like I was reading Tawna from The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, and I thought that I was reading Kay from Tithe, and I'm really tired of reading the same character from her. And they're not even likable characters to begin with.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like with Cassandra Clare, like the exact same feeling. I feel like, Holly, don't kill me, Emma.
I won't. I understand the criticism perfectly.
I just find, like, the book, I've only read the first 4 of the Immortal Instruments, but I find, like, she's so, like, it's like this the whole way through, and then she's like, bam, really good at endings, and that's what keeps me reading them. But, like, I feel like it's always, like, the same thing every single time. So I'm curious about Holly Black now, because I've only read The Iron Trial, and I absolutely hated that book. So now, I think maybe that's why I like the Holly Black story. Like, I think it's true that who we've read before really influences what we think of these stories. My only exception for this would be Stephanie Perkins, because if you know me as well, I sound so bad in this, but I also hated Anne in the French Kiss. I know I'm one of the only people in the world.
Everything.
But I hate everything. But I loved Stephanie. I was going into it saying, "Oh God, Stephanie Perkins," and I went into it. It was my favorite story of the whole book. So I think that's really interesting. I don't know.
I think the authors really influenced, like, because I knew I was going to love Rainbow Rowell. I just knew it. I knew I was going to love Stephanie Perkins. There's just certain authors that I knew without a shadow of a doubt I would love, and that probably influenced me to love the story more. Now, Jenny Han is the only story that completely caught me off guard with that. So, but I do think knowing the author's stories and what they've written really did influence it a lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I feel like there's just certain authors that you trust, you know, like I really trust Stephanie Perkins, and she didn't disappoint me. I loved her story.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to jump into spoilers soon, just so everyone knows. So we're probably going to get more into what the stories what actually happens in them. But just as a quick side note, we do have the Q&A app open. So if anyone wants to ask us specific questions about specific stories or the book in general, feel free to. I know I've been checking the Twitter account at BIBLIOTHON, and you guys can definitely leave comments there. Or else you can leave comments on the YouTube channel, which we're also monitoring. So if you guys want to have your input on the discussion, whether it be commenting on what we said or asking us questions, feel free to.
Yes.
And if it looks like I disappear for a second, I promise I'm not leaving, but I'm pretty much being blinded right now that the fog's gone away, so I want to close my lights.
I'm going to start with the first book and then go down from there.
Do you guys want to go down the line like we were going before?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I believe Brittany started, right?
Yes.
So I might need your guys' guidance because I have it on my Kobo, like I was saying, so I don't really remember which is which. But I know the first one, which is Rainbow Rowell, and I rated that one at 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I think it was a great kickoff to the whole book. I really enjoyed the love story of it, and I thought I liked the guy in it. I like that they became like best friends, and then from there they just developed such a great friendship, and that made their relationship in the end like what made it work. And that was my favorite thing of the story, and I like that it kind of cut it like, oh, first year, second year, third year, and it just kind of kept you engaged in it. That was my favorite thing of that story, that I would say. Yes.
Emma is making soup real fast, so Kelly, you go, and then we'll come back to it.
I'm here, but Kelly can go. Kelly, you can go. I'll go after.
I love the Midnight Story. I think it was definitely one of my favorite stories in the book because I love that even though it was such a long period of time and such a short story, it made sense because you're seeing the same holiday in every section. I love that it goes back to that same house, the same people. We're seeing them grow up and how they interact with each other over time. And I love how it ended. It was a great way to hook me to the book, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 star.
Red.
Oh, is it on me already?
Yeah.
All right, so we're on the first story, right? The Rainbow Rowell one.
Yeah.
I am giving it. Am I doing half stars or am I not doing half stars? I'm going to say I'm going to give it 3 mermaids. Okay. Because I don't know. It's not like I specifically found anything wrong with the story. I think the characters are cute and quirky like you'd expect from Rainbow Rowell because she tends to write those types of characters. And I feel like she comes through in that way. I feel like everything's what you expect, and I can't exactly say why I'm not giving it a full 5 stars other than the fact that it just really didn't affect me like she normally does. Like, usually I have this overwhelming feeling of love for her stories, and I just didn't get that feeling. I felt like it just fell short, and I don't know. Again, this is not anything that I can analyze and logically break down for you. It's just kind of an overall feeling that made it fall short for me.
Mm-hmm.
Emma?
I pretty much agree with Red. I liked I think it was either Brittany or Kelly that was talking about how like it was formatted like it was like almost midnight for like years, and it was the same party, and I really really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought it was really interesting, but like Red, it just didn't hit home for me. Like I didn't feel a connection with the characters, and I know it's a short story and you're really not going to, like you would if you were reading like a 300-page novel, but like there was nothing about it that felt overwhelmingly special to me. And it's not that I didn't like it, I really did. I'd probably give it individually 4 stars, but it was just like I didn't feel anything at the end. Like I was just getting pissed off because the guy kept kissing other girls at the party. That I felt, I was like, come on, dude, stop. But I really enjoyed it, and it was a good way to start off the book. I'm glad I didn't start off with one of the crappier ones, in my opinion. But I did enjoy it. It just wasn't really special. It wasn't like Stephanie Perkins status for me, or like normal Rainbow Rowell status for me even. And I think it's your turn, Cassie.
Yeah. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars because I just loved that we opened the book with this story. First of all, like it was the best choice, I think. Like putting this short story as the first one was the best decision to have been made. And I love the characters. Like I said, they are really similar to the Landline characters who I really, really loved. So I just like felt happy inside getting a little piece of them inside the story. And so like Emma and Red both said they didn't feel a connection to these characters, but that was like one of the things that I felt was like perfect for the fact that I'm reading a short story, because I didn't want to feel like I had to get like super involved with their love story or like with them individually. Since it's a short story, I wanted to like just like read this cute little thing, and that's what I thought most of them were going to be, and that's kind of like what went downhill for me in later stories, is they were trying too hard to like get us to love and like feel very emotionally about the individual characters. So that was kind of like one of the things that I gave it a 5 stars for.
I definitely like your perspective on that. I like the way you do that.
Yeah, it was just perfect to me.
It was a good start too because it was I thought it was one of the shortest short stories.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, damn, are these all going to be that short? Because, like, I think some of them were maybe, like,
30
pages. Yeah, and, like, I mean, that's still a short story in my opinion. I feel like a lot of these would have done well as novellas, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I liked the length of this one. I feel like you didn't need more than that. Like, I know I said, like, it wasn't overwhelmingly special, but I think if she just kept going on with it, it would have made it worse.
Yeah,
so you can just like love it and then let go of it and move on to the next story. You just don't get so invested that you need more of the story.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to shout out to Selena because we all love you too, even though you're spoiling yourself watching this.
Oh well.
Let's go on to the second one now.
I have 0 comments on this one.
Oh god. Okay, so the second one.
I'll say something, but you started.
The second one is Kelly what? Kelly something.
Kelly Lane.
Yeah, and so I rated this one a 1.5 out of 5 stars. I had to be nice, okay? So, I like we talked, kind of mentioned this earlier, but I think Red was saying it was I really think they had a great concept. Like it was really mysterious, and the whole time I was wondering who is this guy and why does he pop up only when it snows. Like I don't think they really answered that. Like I still am confused on who he was and what he was. I might have skimmed that, I don't know, but does anyone know the answer to that question? Because was he like a ghost or like an angel? Like
yeah, I don't know anything.
I'm there with you.
Okay, because
what was it? A Honeywell? Is that what they were calling them?
That's the last name of the family that she's living or she goes to Christmas with.
So it's like either grandfather or something that like died, and then they started kissing, and I was like, isn't he like 60? So I got so confused, and I was like, am I just reading this wrong? And The whole time I was
I don't think he
confused.
could have been the grandfather, because what was it that she kept saying that he was wearing? I forgot what it was called.
Trench coat or something?
No, I forgot. Because she kept making fun of it. She was like, "Oh, really? You're gonna talk about it? Like you're wearing whatever." It's oh my god. And I feel like I'm gonna try and look for it, but there's no way I'm gonna pick the page that actually says it. So
Yeah, it's like an old military jacket.
But basically, if you look up what it was that his jacket was, it's like what they used to wear in like I would say like early 19th century, so 1800s French fashion. Like if you think of like Marie Antoinette, Reign of Terror, all of that. It's particular to that like period of time. So that's why I don't think it's a grandfather, because this guy would have been way too old to be the grandfather. We're talking several generations back.
So maybe be a ghost or of something of their family.
They didn't say he was a ghost, and that's just.
I know, I'm so confused. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let's move on.
Emma.
I'd give this one star because I literally just had no idea what was going on the entire time. It was one of those kinds of stories. Like, I don't know if you guys ever get to that point in, like, either, like, one of the stories that was in this book or, like, just in a novel as it is, and you just, like, you're like, I really don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to keep reading. Like, I just had nothing was coming to my head. I just didn't understand who the guy was, why he was there. As soon as they brought the lady in, I'm like, okay, like, I'm not even going to try and get a grasp on what's going on here. Like, I had absolutely no idea what was going on. I liked the feel of it. I really thought I was going to like it because it kind of reminded me of, like, a Doctor Who-ish episode where, like, oh, like, this mysterious, like, I feel like it was a premise for, like, a Christmas episode for Doctor Who because, like, they have a Doctor Who Christmas special every year, and, like, it just felt like that, like, creepy, mysterious, like, ooh, like, guy comes, but as soon as they got the lady in it, I was like, what is happening? So I can't tell you what happened in this story, like, at all. Like, I really, absolutely no idea, and I really wanted to, like, understand it, but I could not. I just don't understand what the fox is doing either. It just really made no sense to me. Like, that's, like, all I can say is I really don't know. That's all I can say about it.
Kelly.
I'm pretty much right there with Emma. Like, I started reading this story, and I was like, I have no idea what this is talking about. I don't know what I need to understand about all of this intro stuff before she starts seeing the guy. Like, I just felt nothing made sense, and everything was so confusing. Like, they never explain why the fox is significant to the story, because it's there, it's always there, but you don't understand why it's significant. Like, the love story was weird, and the fact that she fell in love with him over this long period of time of Christmases, because it does go through such a long period of time, was weird. And it never talks about her seeing him outside of that one day, so how can she fall in love with him in that one day over all these years? Like, the lady was weird, the story was just very weird. I gave it a 2 because I'm always overly generous with everything, but I gave it a 2, which is not good for me.
Red.
So I gave it 2 mermaids, and yeah, I was coloring, I'm sorry. But I gave it 2 mermaids, and I don't know, I feel like it, even though I would, I had all this time to get my thoughts together, but I feel like I didn't like it. I would say that I disliked it, but I don't feel like I disliked it as much as everybody else did. And just in case anybody's curious, the jacket is a Justicore, and it looks like this. I don't know if you can see it without the Justicore.
Oh.
That's for anybody curious. To give you an idea. But, okay, so at first I was kind of confused when it first started a little bit. But I kind of found my way back, and then it wasn't too bad. And then here she is, like this child, and she goes outside, and I think I just naturally assumed that he was a ghost of someone who used to live there, probably died young. So the sort of mystery of that didn't really bother me at first, because I love sort of mysterious, ghostly types of stories. It almost reminded me, like, reminds Emma of what could be a Doctor Who episode. To me, it reminds me, did any of you guys ever watch that Disney show when you were kids called So Weird? because I feel like, anyway, it was a show, and it reminds me of that show. Like, it could have been an episode on there, you know, kind of Disney-fied up a little bit. I like the idea that she comes back to the super cool old rich family every Christmas. I don't really, you know, I'm glad they didn't elaborate what happens in our normal life, because I'm going to be honest, I don't care. I really have no interest. But I feel like about the part where it just sort of crashed and burned for me, and this is why it only got 2 stars, because I really actually was enjoying it up to this point, was that last Christmas when they were there and she started making the snow. So I'm like, all right, whatever, you're being weird, but whatever. You know, but then, like, here they are, like, what were they doing, like smoking together or something? And they're making out, and but he's not a ghost. Like, and I'm like, wait, what the hell are you guys doing right now? Like, I feel like you're just, I know, like, I feel like it's just kind of, I didn't mind if they did a kiss, but here they are, like, crazy making out and smoking and stuff, and I feel like that kind of took away some of the magical mystery of it. I just didn't like it. I feel like it made it a little bit trashy to me. And then he said that he wasn't a ghost, but then they didn't actually explain what he was exactly, because because all of a sudden he's real. And then they bring the lady in, and it's like, okay, I get you almost sound like you could be cool because you're kind of evil, and I feel like you could be like the villain of a really cool story, but what the hell happened here, and why is he suddenly going inside and eating cake?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the story just had so much potential, but like everywhere where it could have picked up, it just got lower. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it could have been the premise for such a cool story, and it went nowhere. Like,
Tried to do too much with it in such a short amount of time, and we just could not understand it.
And I factor that in when I think about these stories. I'm like, yeah, like they don't have much time. Like, I'm sure they have enough time to write it, but like, they don't, for it to be a short story, like, I don't think there's a specific
have a lot of room for
a short story, but like, it's like the pacing and everything, and I'm sure it's like has to be a hard form of literature to write, because you know, you're with a novel you can go on for as long as you want. For a short story you only have a limited amount of pages. So like, I try and factor that in when I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what, I have to give them some credit. Like, this has got to be hard to write if they're used to writing novels, but like, when stuff gets like that, when like it could have so easily have been explained what this dude was, like, I'm like, I can't give you any. Like,
you know what? I'm gonna rewrite the story. I'm gonna rewrite the story, and then I'm gonna include mermaids, because who doesn't love mermaids?
The guy
and it's gonna be like a billion times better. He's going to be a ghost, but he'll be a ghost in mine, because being a ghost is cool. Except right now, because I like being alive. But ghost stories are cool.
Cassie, go. Your turn.
I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars because I was also being generous, because
I feel like me and Cassie are on the same wavelength with
like, I have
everything.
no mercy in this book. Like, I was so harshly rating all of them.
Yeah. I gave it 2 stars. We're all on the same team here.
Yeah. So I was like more mad at the fact that she ends up with the guy, the ghost guy, and not with the long-term friend, boyfriend guy. Because I liked him. Because like, I didn't understand why would you make the guy she should end up with, because like, that's who she should have ended up with, right? He's like the family friend and all this stuff. Why would you make him so likable if you weren't going to end up putting them together? My earbud is being weird out. So I didn't like that she didn't end up with him, and she ended up with this random guy that we still have no understanding of, like, where he comes from or whatever. And I did like the fox thing. Like, everyone has been complaining about not understanding it, but what I grasped from the fox thing was the fact, like, whoever the lady is like how he ended up being this guy who can only show up when it snows on Christmas. So there's some sort of magic happening, and the fox being caught is him being caught by this random magical lady that we don't understand, and so she fixes it by fixing the fox thing. So like, that's what I understood.
Well, I mean, I got the same thing, I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that was like the one thing of the magic that I did like, was that she fixes the fox, and then that's what brings the lady to the area or whatever.
I do think it's Yeah, I thought that that was a cute detail, though. Like,
Yeah.
I did give it that I thought that was kind of an adorable thing.
Yeah. But I felt like the pacing was really off with this story. Like, if you were going to, like, okay, short story, like, we're all complaining about this. So, if you're going to make a short story and have, like, this crazy magic thing that obviously the general human doesn't understand unless you give us an explanation because it's not real, then you should have spent more time on describing who this lady is and why he's a magical creature who only comes in on Christmas when it snows and all that stuff, rather than giving us all of this time frame that she is looking for him. We spend so many pages just waiting for him to show up, like after she sees him the first and then the second time. And then there's more time that passes and more time that passes and nothing ever happens. And then we see the random, she talks about going to wherever her mom is in prison for. And like, why did you even bring up the mom? Because we don't get any information about her and we don't care about her.
I wanted to know why the mom was in prison in Thailand, of all places.
Yeah, like, why did you bring it up if you're not going to explain that part? Like,
I think they just needed to put parent issues in every single story. Because I swear, like, at least 9 out of 12 of them had mommy or daddy issues. And that's another thing that pissed me off. Like,
But that's just, like I said, that's just a young adult thing, though. That's just a young thing.
See,
That's not a short story thing.
a lot of characters. It really does. But, like, if that's the only piece of backstory I get, like, what else am I supposed to go off of? Like, there's no indication for anything. I just know that your parents, like, have issues.
yeah, I
God,
feel like
it
it would have been better if her parents had just died rather than her mom being in prison, because then you don't need any explanation for it. Like, literally, why is she in prison in Thailand? I want to know, but we didn't get any information.
Well, maybe the point was just to make us understand that that is why she spends Christmas with this family and not her family. But I feel like they just elaborated on her mother too much. Like, if you just say, her mother's gone, she does not have a father, this is why she spends Christmas with this family, it would make more sense than just elaborating so much on the fact her mother is in prison.
Yeah, exactly. For sure,
And, like, she could have just made it easy and made both their parents dead. Like, I mean, nobody asked questions about that.
Right. Okay, with that being said, I think we should move on to the third story.
I have one more comment.
On this one. Okay, go.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, because I know you wanted her to end up with the best friend, but to me, like, whenever anybody establishes one of the love interests as being a best friend, I automatically don't root for him because I'm that bitch, but I don't know. Like, so to me, I think I would have been more upset if she didn't end up with the super creepy cool ghost guy, because, I don't know, I just thought he was cooler, and I automatically liked him more because he was introduced in that more significant way than the best friend was, and I had a feeling from the beginning that the other guy was just going to stay the best friend, you know? So I think I would have been on the other side of that, and I would have been upset if she ended up with the best friend, and I'm like, here you have this super cool, crazy paranormal experience going on, and you're turning your back on it.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah. And I guess if there's supernatural boys in anything, you're going to pick the supernatural boy. I just think, like, she shouldn't have made him so perfect then, the other guy. Like, especially with not giving us very much information with the supernatural one. Like, we don't know much about him other than that he only shows up on Christmas when it snows. Like, then we shouldn't have gotten so much perfection from this boy, because he is, like, the perfect guy for her as far as, like, what we have. And so, that was
But then again, all the Honeywells are perfect, so.
Well, okay, so moving on to the third story.
Okay, sorry, my cat's seriously bothering here. So someone has to remind me what this one was. It was Michael something, but I don't remember.
Angels in the Snow.
Angels in the Snow.
Someone it's the guy that stays at college and doesn't actually get to go home because of the situation.
I didn't hear any of that, you guys.
Oh my god,
it's the one with the shower.
And it's where the girl takes the shower is broken and like the guy.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, so yes, I actually rated this 4 out of 5 stars. So I was like, why am I not remembering this one? I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this story, and especially coming after the last one we just talked about, I think it kind of just made it seem that much better because it just kind of went back to that contemporary feel again, which I thought the whole book would be about. And I really, really enjoyed it. The only thing I kind of was like, was when it was like the whole cheating aspect of it. Like I was like,
I think we all agree on that.
yeah, I didn't really like that part, but I really liked that in the end when she was like, my shower was fixed like all week, and I actually just came to like hang out with you. And then I love that they like rekindled their relationship with the cat running out and trying to find it, and she did Mr. Airplane. Like I thought everything was just very cutesy and to the title of these short stories, like what these short stories and what I expected of these short stories. Like I really enjoyed it. It was kind of long. Like I felt like it did drag on a little bit, but overall I really, really enjoyed the story and I enjoyed the characters. And I liked the fact that he wasn't eating anything and she brought him muffins and he was like scared to eat them. I didn't get that. I was like, you're a guy, just eat them. Like you're getting free food. It doesn't make sense. But I thought it was funny that he wouldn't go shopping because that's kind of relatable. But yeah, that's all I have to say right now. But yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Okay, I want to say I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy it for the most part. It's just like I said, I picked out flaws in every single one of them. I didn't like how the guy wouldn't eat anything. Like, I understand he doesn't have money and, like, there's nothing in the house or whatever, but I don't like how he lied about it, and it just made me annoyed that he just was sitting there not eating anything the whole time. Like, you can find food. Like, stop. And then, like, there's PayPal. Your parents could have sent you money or something. Like, he was just being whiny, and then I didn't like how the girl
didn't have any money.
What? I thought
His dad didn't have any money.
But I know they weren't rich or anything, but like, I don't know.
I think it was his pride. Like they
That's what made me angry. He was so prideful, and it made me so angry. Like, I understand his family wasn't rich or anything, but like, I'm sure if he had asked, like, somebody would have sent him something.
Well, no, because remember he said he talked to his sister, and the dad was crying at night because he couldn't afford to pay bills and stuff. Like his dad really.
That changes things.
Yeah, because he was talking about how his sister said that she could hear the dad crying at night because things were so tough, so that's why he didn't want to ask.
That does make sense now. Okay, now I feel bad. But I didn't like how the girl just, like, I would never shower in somebody else's apartment, like, even if mine was broken. Like, he's a stranger. That unsettled me. But, like, I did like how, like, her shower was fixed and stuff. Like, if I had known that earlier, I would have liked it better. And I don't like the cheating aspect because I understand that, like, I look for realism in contemporary when there really is none. But I don't know. Like, I know that it's there, but I just don't like reading about it because it makes me very uncomfortable. So I wish it had been like, yeah, my shower's been fixed all week and I never had a boyfriend. I just didn't want you to get the wrong idea or something like that. But I don't know. I did enjoy reading it. It was funny and cute and what I really expected from all the stories. So I didn't hate it that much. I know I'm saying really bad things about it, but I did really enjoy it. And it was one of the better stories, I feel, of the whole book.
Kelly.
I enjoyed the story. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, so it wasn't like one of my favorite stories, but I still enjoyed it. I feel like this is the one story that takes an entire contemporary, everything that could happen in contemporary, and puts it into a short story.
Yes.
Because you have, like, the protagonist that you feel bad for because he hasn't eaten, which I kept just wanting him to eat. Like, it was driving me insane that he would not just eat something.
I wanted to eat something, yes.
And waited for him to eat. But then you've got the girl, like, there's just so much that is just typical YA, like the cheating part of it, them actually getting together, you know, the angst of them fighting just for, like, 2 pages and then making up. Like, I feel like it took one long contemporary and condensed it into a short story, and you got every part of contemporary, but it still wasn't, like, my favorite story. I hated that I was constantly waiting for him to eat something. It just made me feel horrible. Like, I hated that.
Somebody explained it better without sounding like a crazy. Thank you, Kelly.
Just waiting the whole time for him to eat food, and when he finally eats, you're just like, okay, I can breathe now and enjoy the story.
And then the cat ate his food. The lasagna. I was like, no, he needs that.
You're
Like,
just
we're laughing
waiting
at it,
for him to
like-
food the whole time.
I think it was lasagna. I don't know.
It was.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
All right, Red.
I just want to say that is it really weird that thinking about the story really makes me want lasagna?
And muffins.
Maybe that's because I'm really hungry right now, and so lasagna sounds really good. Okay, so real thoughts. I would give this story a 4 out of 5 because I would put it as one of my, maybe not my top 2, but I would put it as one of my top stories because I agree with Kelly. I feel like it really was a contemporary that you successfully managed to fit into a short story. Now, obviously, like I understand the problem with the cheating thing because I have a very firm stance against cheating. So I feel like as a person, it goes against sort of my moral code because that's not something that I would do in that situation. I understand her feelings, like if her things with her boyfriend, you know, they're so far apart at this point, you know, emotionally, even obviously physically far apart, but, you know, they're so emotionally just separated, I guess, that I understand her, like, feeling conflicted about, you know, being interested in another person when she's in a relationship. However, she acted on that. And so as a person, you know, talking about another person, I would disagree with that. But I don't know that I disagree with it being in the story because it is realistic and that is something that I would see somebody else doing. But as, like, a person to person, I feel like as if somebody was telling, like a coworker or something was telling me they did that, I would disagree with it. You know, not as something that I see wrong with the story, just as the person she is herself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, but otherwise I really liked it. It just really frustrated me. Like, he finally has food. Like, just effing eat because you're just making me hungry.
The book was frustrating. I think that's what I liked least about it. It was very frustrating.
That is like where the star gets knocked off, is how frustrating it is.
I think it was just like you can't really connect to the story is good, but you can't connect to the characters very well.
I agree with that.
Because we're in his perspective instead of hers, so I think that made it harder to connect because we're in his perspective too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very, like, he's a pretty masculine person. Like, his character, with being prideful about the food, with being more worried about, like, his father's worry. Because from what I grasp of, like, what they gave his father's personality, if he had texted or messaged his dad or called him or whatever and told him that he didn't have food for the week and all of that stuff that happened, his dad would have sent him anything that he could have possibly afforded. That's what his dad seems like, which is why he's crying because he can't pay the bills because they're obviously, like, poor. So it's like he's too worried about his family and not worried enough about himself, and he's very prideful because he won't eat the muffins, and then he won't eat the lasagna, and then he won't eat anything. And so, like, it's a very frustrating story for, like, probably all of us, seeing as none of us, like, have those type of personalities. They're found a lot in men, and we're all females, so that could be it.
So I wonder if our guy, like, the people who joined in on the readathon that were guys, I wonder if they enjoyed that story more than we did.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I feel like I related to him a little bit. I would not have turned down the muffins. I would not turn down free food whether I needed it or not. Free food is amazing.
Free food is fine.
But the one thing that I feel like I just can't get annoyed with him for not asking his dad for money, because especially if he loves his sister, he wants any money he can to be able to support his sister. His dad's struggling enough. Like, I know I'm one of those people, if I think that what I need and going to ask for is going to hurt someone, especially someone I love, like my parents, I am not the type of person to ask for it, not because I'm too proud to ask for it, nothing like that, but because you don't want to be that burden on somebody that you care about so much, you know, because that outweighs your personal interest, at least for me. That's how it is for me. That's why, like, if I'm struggling at all, and now I've never been starving, but if there's something that I need, my parents always have to try and figure it out themselves because they know that I won't ask for it. Because I'm just not that type of person. I don't want to be that type of a person to people that I love. So I honestly cannot begrudge that part of his character. Again, turning down the food, I can't justify. But I'm not wanting to place that burden on his father, who he respects and knows is struggling. I relate to that entirely.
See, I completely forgot about that part, and that's why I said that. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, no, that didn't piss me off, because I thought it was his pride, and that's why he wasn't asking his family. But now that I remember that there was money problems, like, I'm like, oh crap, like, I can't really say anything about that now, because I would do the same thing. So
And he also went there.
I remember that definitely changes my opinion, but I'm still pissed at him for not taking the food. So.
That's just
Like
stupidity.
he went there also for over Christmas and missed Christmas in order to make money to help them out too, like to help himself out. So he's doing that as well, right? And missing his holiday. So
He's
why would
trying
you
to
have
make a difference.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Good point.
Now
Red.
that I remember these factors, so I really did forget about that.
And the other thing I feel like he could have done too is because the guy that he was house sitting for and cat sitting for, you know, the guy just forgot to get money before he went on his trip, and I think I probably would have insisted on it as a condition of me being able to cat sit and house sit. I feel like having the money up front is a condition, especially if I knew I was starving. It would have been mandatory for me to do
I
it.
feel like leaving a house with no food is like so rude. Like,
Yeah, I've never house sat without a full like fridge. Like every person that I've ever house sat for specifically buys me groceries. Like they go out and they ask me what I want to have in the house, and especially when they ask me, like I never ask for much because I don't want them to be, and you know, I don't ask them to buy me a full fridge, but I'm like, oh, you know, some cereal and some cup of noodles would be nice, or something cheap, you know, and that's
whenever we, because you know, you guys know that I have a bunch of dogs, so I have 5 dogs. So if we like go on vacation or anything like that, we obviously have to have somebody come and house sit. And I will tell you right now that not only do we have a kitchen full of food, they also get money up front to, you know, pay for any food that they need, anything that they might need while we're gone, we make accessible because it's just what you do. And it kind of just makes me want, not only do I find it slightly unrealistic, I mean not totally unrealistic because there are just inconsiderate people, but it just made me want to punch the guy he was house sitting for in the face. I'm like, I hate you so much. Go, like, seriously, just get stranded on some island wherever you're vacationing.
Yeah. I just want to say one more comment about this, what I thought about this story, and then we'll move on to story 4, because we should probably speed up this process a little. I wanted to talk about the cheating aspect, since a lot of people had issues with it, and normally I have an issue with cheating too in stories. Like, it really irritates me. It happens a lot when the stories are involved in high school or early college, and I'm just like, come on, get your pants, put a buckle on it, and shut up. Like, you're in a relationship. But seeing as they very well described the fact, and it was brought up very quickly that her boyfriend and her are, like, not doing well and all this stuff, and basically they should already be broken up, but they're afraid of, like, having that conversation. It didn't feel like cheating to me. It felt like she's just stuck in the relationship because he's patient and they're in a long-distance relationship.
It was realistic. It was definitely a realistic situation, and even her kind of inner anguish over it when she stopped him and made him leave. Like, you could tell that it's something that she was really struggling with, you know, because that's not the kind of person that she wants to be.
Right. So I felt like that aspect was very real, and that's actually, like, the only reason that I connected with the character at all. Like, otherwise, it didn't mean anything to me. But the fact that that moment was there was just very, very real, I think. So.
And I almost think that she kind of needed that too, because I think that kind of made her realize that it was, you know, enough is enough. And I feel like that's exactly what she needed to be able to do what she's been putting off.
Yeah, to move on. Okay, so now
So
let's move
I have
on.
to cut out because I have work in like a half an hour and I have to leave in 15 minutes.
Okay.
But I'm going to keep watching until I have to leave. And these lovely ladies are going to continue the discussion. But before I go, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's participated in the BIANNUAL BIBLIOTHON and for making this week so successful and so much fun. And we'll definitely be seeing you guys, hopefully seeing you guys in a few months.
Yay!
They will continue the conversation. They will definitely do it justice. And I will see you guys soon.
Bye, Emma.
Bye. Have a good day at work.
Okay, so let's move on.
Already.
We'll try and speed up this a little bit. Got a little tips on that one. Okay, so next one is Jenny Hahn's stories. I believe it was Polaris, something about Polaris. I think we're going to have some mixed feelings on this one, I believe. And so I think I really enjoyed this story, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think I give it a 4 or 5 stars because I really was in the mood for like a really like elfy North Pole kind of feel, and I really, really liked that part of the story. And I think where the confliction goes is with the ending of the story and how it just kind of like, here you go, here's a note, and that's it. And usually when I am watching movies, you either love or hate when you have to like figure out the ending for yourself, and I hate that usually. But for some reason with this story, I really liked it, and I don't know why, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was short, sweet, to the point. She's gonna go look for him, and the rest is history, and they live happily ever after, and that's what I get from it. I love the girl, and I love the end. I loved it all. Let's go to Kelly.
Well, for me, I don't think it's just the end that bothered me. Like, yeah, the end bothered me because I have to figure out what she's going to do. But I think my biggest problem with this story is the fact that I felt like I was reading a child. Like, I don't feel like her perspective was old enough for what she was supposed to be. I felt like I was reading like a 12-year-old. And so it was very hard for me to understand her liking this boy and wanting to find this other boy that she kissed. And she just felt so young to me, and that really turned me off to the whole story. I gave it a 3, I think, out of 5, so that was my biggest issue with it.
Yeah, I didn't picture her very young for some reason. I don't know. Red?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to Emma being before me. All right, so I'm going to say 2.5 stars because I don't really want to give it a full 3 because I feel like I just didn't like it enough for a full 3, but I think I liked it more than The Lady and the Fox, and I gave that one 2, so this is the next best thing. It's 2.5 stars. And honestly, like, I really did not like the ending. I don't know. I feel like because, and might just be based on my own expectations, which is not the fault of the author, if this just was my expectation. But going into this book, even if I, didn't care that they weren't all contemporary, that didn't really bother me about the book. But I really went into this wanting happy endings, and that was just not a happy enough ending for me, and it bothered me. And I wanted the good feels, and I didn't get the good feels, and that's so frustrating. But the other part of it, too, is that I'm totally with Kelly, is that I felt like I was reading a 12-year-old more than a teenager that's at the age to start falling in love. Like, I felt like she was, like, 12, especially when they're talking about how she was like, I'm not a liar anymore. I don't make stuff up. And it's so babyish and whiny, and especially when she's watching, like, a little girl when they're dancing, and then you get, like, that super bitchy elf, and I didn't like her, but at the same time, I kind of understand her frustration with her in the sense that you're an annoying little kid, go away. Yeah, she should have just stopped.
I'm not the only one who found her to be very young-like.
I did too.
Yeah.
So,
I think that about covers it.
Yeah. I gave this story a 4 out of 5, and I also felt like she was really young, so it felt very weird that she was, like, conflicted over who to like and stuff. That was weird to me, but I really did like how, like, the fact that she was a human in the elf, go away, how she was a human in the elf world, and so, like, they kind of treated her like an outsider, even though she has been there her whole life. I don't know, like, that part was what I liked more than the weird, like, sort of love story type things. And I liked that Santa was on her side and stuff because he adopted her or whatever. That was cute. And I also felt like it ended too abruptly, so that was why I gave it a 4.
Also, I like that unlike Elf, she knew that she was a human. Like, she wasn't dumb.
Yeah, me too. Like, that part of that movie is weird.
But even if it wasn't my favorite story, I appreciate the fact that at least one person tried to do a North Pole story. I really appreciate that effort.
Yeah, I agree. I was waiting for it the whole time. Okay, so story number 5. Which was that?
So Stephanie Perkins, and your guys are going to think this is hilarious, but I know I rated 5 out of 5 by mixing it up. Which one was hers? It's not the tree one, right?
Yeah,
it's the tree one.
Oh, okay, where she goes to get by a tree.
Yeah.
Actually, she didn't plan to buy a tree. No, I really, really like this one. This was one of my favorite stories. I felt like the characters did feel older. I felt like they were very mature, and the guy kind of reminded me of my fiance, just like very helping and like very manly woodsmanish guy, and I felt like I could just really relate to that, and the fact that he helped her and he carried it all the way, I could just see my fiance doing that, which is hilarious because we cut down a tree this Christmas and he was hauling a big ass tree on his back. So I was thinking of us.
I really wish that your boyfriend was in the room to hear you right now because I would love to see his reaction.
He's hiding. So I have pictures of that. He's just hauling the tree on his back, and so I found it very, very relatable. And then I thought it was so funny as well, especially when he walked in. He went, "What the heck? Like, why do you have all these boxes here?" And she's like, "Oh, we're moving, but we've been here for like a year." And then he's like, "We're fixing this now." And I just thought it was funny, relatable. The characters were very mature. It was really well written for such a short story. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. I think it was one of my favorites for sure.
Kelly.
This was absolutely one of my favorites as well. I love Stephanie Pence. I love everything about her writing. But what I loved about this story is it's with all of her other stories, they feel a little bit younger. But this one to me was a lot more mature, and it felt more like my age group versus a high school age group. And everything about it, like the fact that she's having issues with what happened with her mom, and they won't unpack things. And obviously, if they've lived there for a year, they need to unpack things. Like, it's ridiculous that they sat there for a year not unpacking things, and how he just comes in and completely changes her whole Christmas around in her whole night when she thought that this was just going to be one of those Christmases that were just ruined because of everything that happened. I just love that. This is one of those typical contemporary, I just love it so much and can't handle how much I love it. So I definitely gave it a 5 out of 5.
Right.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. God, I suck at this. All right, one thing, I'm going to talk about the overall story in a second, but it was just like as Kelly was talking, this was just something a detail that I forgot about for a second, and that just popped into my head, so I'm going to talk about that first. And that is one of the few instances where I kind of appreciated the parent issues because I felt like they were unique and I felt like they were actually important to the story. Like, for example, the fact that the father, after all this kind of positive talk about the father up to this point, and you think they just had a normal separation, and then it turns out that he had a second family, and just the heartbreak and stuff, she must have gone through, learning about that, and how when it came to choosing families, he chose the other one and gave her and her mom up, and that was just so heartbreaking for me, and it made me understand her and her mom as a family more, and why her mom is kind of the way she is, sort of eclectic, and I like that her mom was pagan, but it's just nobody's ever written about how one of their parents had another family, because that is an issue that doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and it's horrible. And I really kind of like that because I felt like it made me get to know her as a character, why she is the way she is. I like the fact that she's a YouTuber because I feel like we can all relate to that. I thought that was really cool. And I like the fact that when he's organizing her apartment, he says it's because he's good at Tetris, because whenever I'm cleaning, because I'm actually a really good organizer when I want to be, and I always say it's because I was really good at Tetris as a kid, so that made me, crush on him a little bit. But overall, I just thought it was really cute, and I like that her hair goes around her head all the time, and it's like her signature look. And I feel, and then to find out that they had this kind of little crush on each other, and I just really, really want a Christmas tree boy.
Aww. I gave this story a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think I actually kind of had an issue with how mature they were because it felt like too adulty. I don't know. I have a weird thing because I don't want them to be too young, but I don't want them to be too old. And so it just felt a little out of not character, because obviously I don't know these two specific characters, but just out of the norm for teenagers. They seemed a little bit too mature for life. But I really love the hoarding aspect, which is essentially what that was. You don't see that very often as the parent issue, like Red was saying. So I really liked that, and obviously they're adorable with their changing up the house and stuff. And also I loved the YouTube thing. That was really cool. And yeah, but also the only reason it didn't get a 5-star for me is one, because they felt too old, and two, it's just like wasn't very memorable for me. I like couldn't even remember this story when we were talking about it earlier.
Kind of like with me with Midnights.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it was good when I read it, but then by the end of the book, I didn't even remember that it happened. So obviously, it wasn't that, great.
And then I just want to comment on the maturity thing, just like as a different perspective on it, because I understand what you're saying. But like I didn't mind that they were kind of mature because I felt like they had a reason to be. I felt, some books like they're almost mature because the author's an adult, so that kind of pushes into the character. Whereas these characters, I felt like they were both mature because they had to be. For example, she's had to sort of take over, emotionally take care of her mom after what the dad did. I feel like that kind of forced her to have to grow up fast because now it's just her and her mom. They do have to both have to worry about money issues. Any money she earns has to go into helping save for a different place to live. She now has to take on these responsibilities she never had to worry about before, and I feel like that's going to increase the maturity. And then you get him, right, and he's got his own issues with his family. His parents are a little bit older. There's so much family going on, and he's expected to take over this business that he doesn't want, and he's had to take on most of the duties of this business because his parents are getting too old to do it themselves, and he's and at such a young age he's had to take on a business that's family responsibilities, and I feel like that matures him as well, and I think that's what makes them relate to each other as a couple, and they can kind of see that in each other, that they both have sort of had to grow up faster than they should have, and I think it works for them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that at least it felt real for these specific characters. Like, they both had reasons. All right. So let's move into the 5th story, right? How does that? Oh, 6th.
Yeah.
David Levithan, again. I'm just mixing these stories up in my head. I don't know.
David Levithan is
Your temporary Santa. It's the guy who goes in dressed as Santa for the little girl, for his boyfriend.
I should have wrote down the titles. Yeah, this one I rated a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, just thinking about it right now, it's not very memorable, actually, now. So I don't know how much I'm going to say about it as of right now. I just remember I thought it was okay. This story is blanking in my head. I know that he went down into a house and was arguing with the sister.
Yeah, his boyfriend's sister.
Yeah, so... I'm going to have to say it's just okay because I actually am blanking on the story. So, Kelly, you can go ahead.
Okay. I did not care for this story. Like, I like that it was more diverse relationships and things like that, and that they changed that up. But I just thought it was so, like, we did not understand the dynamics of their relationship enough for him to be as whiny as he was. And he was so just... He felt very whiny to me about his relationship and everything, and I don't know. I just did not enjoy it. I felt like I could not connect to that story at all. The little girl was just a jerk. Like the teenage girl or whatever was just a jerk. And the fact that his boyfriend's making him sneak into this house where he doesn't know anybody and play Santa, like that could go so bad. Like if the mother woke up and was in her right mind, that could go so bad. Like, I just thought the story was very weird, and I did not enjoy it at all. I gave it, I think, a 2 out of 5. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Red.
I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, and my feelings are very, very similar to Kelly's on why I didn't like it. I appreciated the diversity in it just the same way, and I actually... when I kind of realized that was what was going on, because, obviously it's not super clear right away. But when I realized what it was going on, like, I got my hopes up. I'm like, oh, this might actually be, like, super cute. And it could have been. But I did not like the protagonist at all, because anybody that knows me knows that I don't really do well with clingers and whiny people, and he's all of those things. He's like that really, really bad girlfriend that nobody wants, because they're just like, oh my god, love me. Like, you didn't tell me you loved me in the last 5 seconds, so now I'm feeling super insecure about our entire relationship. Oh my god. And
stuff. Oh.
And it was just, he was so whiny and clingy. He's like the exact type of person that he was really realistic, because I can tell you that there are people that are just like that have that exact mentality in relationships in regards to their significant other. And I found him very realistic in that way, but that doesn't mean that I liked him, because I don't like this type of people when I meet them in real life either. They're not the type of people I go out of my way to be friends with. I just avoid them at all costs, because I can't respect a character like that. I can't respect that at all. And I like to try at least have some respect for my main characters, but after a while it was just sad.
Aww.
Plus, the other thing is that he hasn't met the family, and I agree with Kelly. That was just such a bad idea.
So bad.
Such a bad idea. Like, nobody should. What?
That didn't even
Why did it? That was a good idea.
More well executed. Like, that didn't even make sense at all to me. I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree completely on that.
Cassie?
Okay, so I gave this story a 4 out of 5 stars because I really liked it. The only reason it gets docked a point is for the reason that he hasn't met his family, and so, like, what if his dad was a homophobe and decided to shoot him? I don't know, like, that could have happened. That doesn't seem like a good plan.
Actually, that would have been really exciting.
Yeah, like, actually, that's what I expected from the story. I'm glad it didn't get that serious because it's a short story, there's not enough time and all that stuff, but I really liked this story. I loved that the boyfriend who lives there like cares enough about his little sister to ask his boyfriend to do this. I loved the like little not montage, but like monologue of him saying like, what is this saying about me being fat if he's asking me to be Santa? I thought that was funny, like not annoying. I laughed so hard at that part and that was before I realized for sure that it was a boyfriend relationship and not a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship. I was like, wait, what is happening? Like, who is Santa? And so that was really funny to me. I loved the middle sister who was a little asshole and comes in and starts like being a jackass. Sorry, I'm cussing all up in there.
No, I cuss all the time in these things, but I loved her too. Like, everybody seemed to hate her, but I liked her.
I thought she was hilarious. I think she should have been a little bit older. Like, I think they say she's 12, and I think if they had named her as a 14-year-old, it would have made a little bit more sense. But if we have any younger siblings, like I have a 17-year-old sister, and I know that when she was like getting to that 12, 13, 14 age, she like hates you for no reason, and so that like was perfect. And I loved it. And then the only, other than the fact that like he hasn't met the family yet, so why is he in their house? The other thing that I didn't like was that the mom woke up at all, because it like wasn't significant enough since she was all drugged out, and like, why are you even here? Like, we didn't need that moment of her seeing him. It was just weird. But I love that he like climbs into bed with his boyfriend at the end, and that was really cute and stuff. So I loved this story. That's the story.
Yeah, with the mom thing, it was definitely like just like, why do you exist?
Yeah, it was kind of pointless, like, to put that little moment in there. It didn't make any sense to me, like, why she bothered. But yeah.
And I like the fat comment too. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And I don't know, I didn't grasp as much of other, like, annoying, whiny boyfriend, like, relationship things as everyone else, like, was complaining about. That was really the only moment that I, like, grasped as a, like, self-conscious moment for the protagonist. But I was totally okay with it because I laughed really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the next story is Krampusloth, and like, you guys can go ahead and start on that. I will be right back. But go ahead and talk about it. It's cool.
Okay.
So the next one, Holly Black, I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I know there's going to be mixed feelings on this one, but I actually really enjoyed this story. But I'm a huge fantasy type person. I love paranormal and fantasy. And I think this was like the best one that was more on the fantasy side, that executed it correctly. Like, it kind of started off contemporary, great feeling, and then all of a sudden it was just like, bam, paranormal. But I actually really liked it, and I liked the twist because she did it right. It wasn't like, okay, this is a fantasy book, and now I'm really freaking confused all of a sudden. I felt it flowed well. I enjoyed the characters. I think it was just overall well done for a fantasy book into a short story. I really, really liked it. With Holly Black, I went into it with low expectations because I've only read The Iron Trial, which I didn't like. So I was pleasantly surprised with the story. Ellie?
I expected to go into the story really not liking it because Sarah was telling me a little bit about it because she read the book before me, and I was surprised. Like, it's hard for me to rate it because I want to say a 3, but it's not really a 3. It's closer to a 4. It's in between there. It's not. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like love it. But I did enjoy certain things about it. Like, I thought the whole mystical element of it was pretty interesting, and how like the guy, the boyfriend that's cheating or whatever, how he got what was coming to him. I thought the fact that they turned him into a donkey was a little bit strange. That made it a little bit weird to me, but the whole idea of them giving him justice for the things that he did, I love that. And I love that I don't even know what these things are called. I can't pronounce it, but the thing that did everything, the guy, yeah, hey, I like that he had the name of the boyfriend that she imagined in her head and stuff, like he was kind of just made for her, that he came right out of her imagination. So it was weird. Like, the story was weird, but I liked it kind of, but then there's things I didn't like about it, so it's hard for me to really explain my feelings on it. But I've got to plug my computer up real quick, so while you're talking about it, I'm going to be doing that.
Okay. Red.
Wait, it's my turn?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of my issues with it were kind of discussed earlier, and it's with, again, kind of Holly Black in general. You know, sometimes she gets a little too out there and bizarre. I don't dislike the fact that she tried to go a different direction with her story, because when I saw the name of the story, I was really excited because I'm familiar with the legend of Krampuslauf, and I thought that was really exciting because I'm like, oh my god, nobody ever talks about this, nobody ever writes about this, and I was actually really, really excited that somebody was going to. And then I was just reading it, and even at the parade, like, I knew that one dude was a real Krampuslauf. Like, you know, I feel like that was pretty obvious to everyone except the main character. Not that there's anything wrong with it not being obvious to her, because none of us would probably believe it in person either.
Right.
But I didn't like the main character at all. She is just a carbon copy of all of Holly Black's other characters. You know, she's super flawed. She's kind of an airhead. She's a little too out there and weird, and I'm just like, you are so unrelatable. There's nothing relatable about you. You know, she's kind of like a really spacey, just bizarre person. And I feel like they're trying to make her sound like she's kind of a normal teenager, but she's not normal. Like, I don't know. I didn't really care for her character, and mostly it bugged me because she was a carbon copy, personality-wise, of both Tana in Coldest Girl in Cold Town and Kay in Tithe. The other issue I had with it, I thought it was weird that they're all partying together at the end, like her and Krampuslauf, and everything was a little bit weird to me, and I feel like there was something else that I didn't like, but I don't remember what it was, like, off the top of my head. One thing I will say that I did like was I really liked when that one dude kind of got his comeuppance finally. I'm like, yes, and then both, like, his girlfriends turn on him, and it's like, F you, dude.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Go ahead. Finish yours.
Oh, go ahead. I was just mumbling.
Okay. I gave this story, like, either a 3 or a 4, so, like, a 3.5 out of 5 stars, I guess. I liked the main character, and I liked the friendship that we see between the 3 girls. Like, the fact that the one is being, like, cheated on and all that stuff, and they're just so, like, about it, because I've been there before on both ends of that friendship. So, like, I thought that was a very real situation, and I loved that part. I thought it was very obvious, too, that the Krampuslauf, I'm not going to try to say that again, was real at the first party, but I also liked that they didn't grasp that because, once again, like Red said, you wouldn't realize that he was real either. I've never heard of the legend of the Krampuslauf before, and so I thought she did a pretty good job of describing it in the beginning of the story. I mean, I don't know if she did it to accuracy of what the legend says, but, like, she gave you a background of it because I'd never heard of it before, so I thought that was good. And it definitely got weird, definitely got weird, but I liked it enough to give it a 3.5. But like there were, I don't know, it was just okay to me, and like it definitely felt out of place in this book. I think was really my main issue. Like it just was it didn't feel wintry enough, even though it happens in New Year's. And I don't know, it just felt more like it belonged not in this book, which is, I think,
Definitely sticks out like a sore thumb to me.
What?
It definitely sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Like, this story, if somebody says the name of the story, I'm like, oh, that's that weird story.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the ones I haven't forgotten.
Above the rest of them.
Yeah, it just didn't belong, I don't think. So that was kind of like more of an issue than the actual story itself. If it had been a standalone short story, I probably would have liked it a little bit more.
But yeah, I think she really executed it well, though, for a fantasy, unlike the other ones. Like, I felt like
Oh, yeah.
I agree. She did a good job with the backstory of the fantasy stuff. Like, you didn't feel like, you know, like Lady and the Fox, you literally get no answers. But this one, you like felt like you understood what the fuck was going on.
I think that's why I liked it a little bit and didn't just hate it altogether, too.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on the 8th story.
What's Gail Foreman's title?
What the hell have you done, Sophie Roth?
Oh, I love that story.
That's it.
Is this the diner one?
Yeah. Oh no, it's the one where she goes to the place and they keep calling her Big City, and then she meets the black
college and the Christmas sweaters and the carolers.
Yeah, I keep getting that one and the diner one mixed up.
Me too.
I think they both go to diners.
I'm gonna get Red to kick this one off because I'm blanking on this story.
You can kick it off. That's fine.
For me, I really enjoyed this story too. Like, it wasn't my favorite. I still gave it a 5 stars because I did like it a lot, but it wasn't like my favorite out of the ones that I like. But because maybe I just don't understand. Like, I'm more Southern, so it's hard for me to understand kind of her thought process being from New York. Like, Emma probably liked the story a lot because she's able to understand some of the terms and things and everything. But I still enjoyed like their relationship and how, even though he wasn't a scholarship student, he still came up and talked to her and, you know, wanted to get to know her and didn't just automatically judge her. Like, I like that a lot of the theme is people seeing somebody and judging them without really knowing who they are. And I don't know. It's hard to explain what I liked about it. I just liked, and it was one of those kind of feel-good contemporary, ends really happy. Like, I did enjoy the story a lot. And I like Gail Foreman. That's the first thing I've ever read from Gail Foreman, and I really like her writing style and stuff. She gets things across very well.
I did really like it. I kind of agree with you, and this is coming from somebody who's not Southern, who's not particularly far away from anything, because even though I didn't grow up in New York City, I am California born and raised, and there's very, very few, there's not all that much, like, in California that's totally out of the way. You know what I mean? At least not in all the places that I lived. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area. And so I feel like even if I didn't grow up, you know, with the skyscrapers right next door to me, I definitely have that, like, city girl mentality, and I can admit it. And so even with that kind of mentality, I didn't really understand the dynamics as much. Like, I feel like some of the things they were making fun of her for, I'm like, I feel like this should just be normal. I don't know. I feel like they were very small town backwoodsy, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just wrong because I didn't grow up in that part of the U.S., but I don't know. I just feel like it was a little unrealistic in how they were reacting to her. Because, like, I know you, Kelly, and I know you're like an hour away from a hospital. You know, you're pretty out of the way as far as Southern things go.
I still understand city life and, like, yeah, I'm an hour away. I'm in a very small town, but I still understand. I don't know. I just thought
exactly like you know, you have television and the internet, and you know, you're not completely deprived of all these things. And I compare them to you because I kind of get the feeling that they live small town in the same way that you do, except you're not out of touch with reality. Right. So I can kind of compare them to how I know you are, and you're not like that at all. So I found the fact that all these kids are like that at this college, you know, not just one or two, like all of them have this mentality, it just felt very unrealistic to me.
Like, have you ever seen Heart of Dixie, the show Heart of Dixie? It's almost like exactly like that. Like they have this little random town that is completely disconnected from reality altogether. That's how I felt about it.
You know, and I think there's small-minded and closed-minded people everywhere, not just in the South, like they always try to push it. You know, I think there's just people like that everywhere. So I do kind of feel like, the point of the story was to kind of undermine some of those stereotypes, and while, like, you know, not reinforcing the stereotypes of, like, the two main characters, I feel like she was reinforcing the stereotypes of the other kids at the college, and I felt like it kind of defeated some of the point of the story to me. But overall, like, that aside, I thought it was cute. I thought it was kind of funny, just like, you know, the whole Ned Flanders thing. I thought it was kind of adorable. So that is, like, my only, like, real issue with it, was just a kind of unrealistic reaction from the other college kids. But I would say I would give it 3.5, maybe 4 stars.
Brittany, do you want to go next?
Sure. So it took me till about end read, almost finishing talking about it, to remember this story. So obviously it wasn't very memorable for me, but now I remember it, and I actually rated it at 4 to 5 stars. So I must have enjoyed it. Like I was saying, like with even this whole book, like I was really struggling with this whole book, and I found like when I got to the end of the book, I was skimming a lot, and I was just really wanting to get through it to get to other stuff. And so you just gotta bear with me for these last ones. But I remember like the Ned Flanders thing. I thought it was funny and cute, and I loved, like, I live in the city, but I live like the end of the city, and me and my fiance, we go camping in the wilderness like every weekend in the summer, and so we have no reception. We have none of that. And I really enjoy that, and we hope to live in somewhere like that one time in our life, hopefully. I know it's crazy. So I could really relate to it, and I found it really cute, because I hope for something like that sometime in life. I know it's weird. Most people don't, but I liked it.
I give this story a 5 out of 5 stars because I really liked it. I loved the big city like jokes and her frustration with it, because I have family in the South and they think I'm very big city, even though I live near LA. And so like I connected well with her like frustration living in that situation. And but I also think, like, I disagree with what you guys said about like reinforcing the stereotype, because just for this one line at the end, she says something about like how she realizes that her roommate was being sarcastic, and so it was more of just like that it was more that she just like wasn't understanding the other like humor or like type of what you think is funny or how you say things, and so it was just the misunderstanding, I think, that, and so
I just forgot about that part.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite
That definitely does make a difference. So the only thing I'm going to add to that then is I wish that she made that a slightly bigger deal at the end, so that I would have remembered it.
Yeah, it was like such a tiny little line, but that was my favorite part. And then I also really just loved that they, at the diner, like they both kind of have that moment of they assumed something that was very wrong, and then they're kind of irritated, but then they get over it. Like, I loved that little moment, because it's very...
They're so used to being on the defense, you know, that even though it's totally not meant like the other person, you know, as they're interpreting it, it just goes to show that people are always defensive about other people's assumptions, even if they're not, your interpretation isn't accurate.
Yeah, I loved it. And I loved that she liked the pie with the cheese on it, which I've never tried and never heard of.
I actually really want to try that now. Is that weird?
No, I want to try it too.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it would be tasty. Maybe.
I think it would be good. But I like cheese on everything.
Yeah, exactly. Cheese? Okay. I'll just eat cheese by itself. Okay, let's move on to the next story.
Oh, good. Mara McIntyre, the baby Jesus.
What is this? I don't even remember.
I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. I just remember really disliking the story. I found it really boring, and I remember kept looking at how far it would be, and I would keep clicking to the next page to see how far it would be. So I skimmed it. I know I like the fact they were like screwed of their play, but then they were like trying to put their 2 plays together that they had, And then I was like, that's unrealistic. Like, how are you going to make that work? And it was all like in 1 hour, and I was all confused. And this guy's like, I'm going to help. And I don't know. I just found it boring and just unrealistic and unrelatable to me. I didn't like it at all. Skimmed. Kelly?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I hate the name of this story. Like, the name, it just turns me off so much because it's a beer and baby Jesus. Like, I just hate the name of it. The story was not terrible, but I think I'm with you, is it's just not memorable. Like, it's not a story that I'm just like, oh, I want to go back and reread that story next Christmas. Like, I didn't really care for it that much. I don't have a whole lot of reasoning behind it. I guess maybe I just don't relate as well to male protagonists in this little contemporary book, because with contemporaries, I'm so used to reading a female character that I can just dive into their head, and I did not relate to this character at all. And then it talks so much about him being like this really bad guy, and then he ends up or starts talking to the really, really good girl, and which is kind of cliche. I don't know. I just didn't care for it that much. I think I gave it a 3 or a 2 or something. Like a 3, I think is what I gave it.
You're being generous.
I'm very generous with any ratings. So.
Red.
Jinx. Okay. At least on my end. I don't know if it was a jinx for you guys, but like you guys said at the same time. I don't really know how to rate this, because I just feel like I don't have a whole lot of comments on this one. One thing that I will say, and this was something that I was actually going to mention, but Kelly already talked about it, was the name of the story. I feel like before I even started it, the story was already ruined for me, because it just, beer buckets and baby Jesus is just so, I don't know, it just turns me off. Like, it's just so classless or something to me, and maybe it's me being super judgmental, and I will accept that. But it was just kind of a trashy title to me. I don't know. I really didn't like it. The title of it just turned me off before I even had a chance to figure out if I liked it. I don't know if I liked it or disliked it. I just absolutely have no feelings on it. But I did think the prank she played on the fake boyfriend, or the prank he played on the fake boyfriend, was funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Other than that, I don't really have any comments, because I just feel so complacent and neutral. I just got nothing.
I also only gave this story like a 1 or 2 or something really low, because it was just like, well, first of all, it was forgettable. I didn't even remember what the story was about until we started talking about it. And like, the one thing that I did like was the fact that the girl that he likes isn't really in a relationship with the guy that he hates, because the guy is just trying to hide his hippie, hipster girlfriend from New York or something, or whatever it is, who goes to like a liberal arts college or something. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I found that the idea to like put the plays together was unrealistic, and like, why would you decide to give him, the guy that's there for being in trouble, any reins and like in control of anything? Because why would you trust him, like, as far as in the pastor's mind goes? And I don't know, I just thought it was like really cliche, like Kelly said, and unrealistic, and it was just like weird. And it was supposed to be one of those realistic contemporaries. Like, there's no magic in this story to be okay. Like, okay, fine, you can be unrealistic, that's fine. Like, sometimes I give things a pass when there's magic involved, but this had no magic whatsoever, so.
It was too long.
Yes, it took forever. It dragged so much.
So long.
It was like skim, skim, skim.
Yes, basically.
All right. So I think we're pretty even on that one. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's go.
Kirsten White, that's the diner one, right?
Yes.
Because I rated it 5 out of 5 stars, so I'm assuming it is. Because I love this story so much. I think this one and Stephanie Perkins are like equal for me. I really, really enjoyed this story. I love the fact that this new cook comes in, and he's like, she's already all stressed out because the girl, I can't remember her name right now, she was in the bathroom.
Candy, right? Or something? I don't know. It was
Candy. Isn't it Candy?
Yeah.
With Barbie? Candy?
So she's all stressed out, and she had to give away her money, and then all of a sudden this new cook's there, and he's like, this girl's like, I didn't order this, and she's like, I'll take it back. And then the guy's like, no, just trust me. And then it just like totally turns around her day, and then he has this like magical thing with food, and I love good food, and the fact that he could do that for people was really cool, and just turned around her day, trained around her making money because she was struggling. She got to help out her friend Candy. It pushed Candy to like leave that douchebag that she was with. Like this guy just changed like everyone's life just by food, and I thought that was really, really cool. And it had something else about it, but I can't remember at the moment. But I just really enjoyed it and loved the characters, and it was super cute, and I didn't want it to end. My fave. Kelly.
I loved the story as well. I gave it a 5-star. I loved that even though it's not a magical story, there's still that slight magical element in the story that just makes you like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that he can look at somebody and know what they would want to eat and make it, and it makes their entire day and changes, you know, the entire dynamic of their day. I absolutely love that. I love that the entire story is about her judging her mom, and her mom, is it her husband, her new husband, or is it her boyfriend? I think it's husband. But
They're married yet.
They're not, so boyfriend, whatever he is. But I love how she basically gets this whole opinion of him based off seeing him labeling things, and she doesn't really understand why he does the things he does, and at the end we get to see everything he's done for her just because he loves her like a daughter and wants her to succeed and do better than how they did in life. And they took all of her paychecks plus extra money just to put aside so that she can get away and get a new life. I just loved seeing how that all wrapped up. I thought that was done very well. I thought the relationship was super cute. I think this is one of the more memorable stories to me because of issues and how everything wraps up and how cute the relationship was.
That's what I was going to say that I forgot was the whole parent, and then they were doing it all in the end. That's what I was going to say. Loved it. Go Red.
For me, I would give this 4 out of 5 stars. I think the only story that I gave 5 out of 5 stars was Stephanie Perkins. But I would say this one's like 4.5. I remember when I first started reading it, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I was, it started off a little dry for me, I guess. But, I mean, it turned out fine because I ended up loving the story by the end of it. I kind of liked that there was that, again, it wasn't really magical, like Cassie or Kelly or one of you guys said. I don't remember, but one of you guys said it. I heard it. Talking about how it's, like, not really magical, but there's, like, still a little bit of magic in it, like in his cooking, and I kind of like that because it kind of reminded me of this movie from like probably 15 years ago or something, I don't know, called Simply Irresistible. It had Sarah Michelle Gellar in it, and basically like she would cook this food, but anybody that ate it was overcome with a kind of euphoria and happiness. And even though the story really isn't like that movie at all, just the kind of same magical thing with the food is very similar. And that made me really like it. And plus I love food, and that was a huge part of the story. He would basically be like my perfect boyfriend because he's supposed to be super cute, and he knows how to cook magical food, and he knows what you like. So that's pretty awesome. But mostly I really liked just, not even just her relationship with the guy. That was cute. It was kind of adorable. But I feel like I didn't care about that as much. I more of liked the built relationships between her and Candy, and then learning about Candy's relationship with her boyfriend, because that was just horrible, and it was just so angering, I don't know. And then to have the relationship she does with their parents, and it was just a very realistic relationship with the parents, I feel like. And I don't know, it gave me so many good feelings, and I feel like I should have seen it coming that she ended up giving Candy the money to get away from her boyfriend. And I like how that was really similar to what happened with her mom, so her parents understood Candy's situation. But I really didn't see Candy being given money to escape. I knew they couldn't leave her hanging. I knew they had to fix that somehow, because we would have all hated life if Candy was stuck with her boyfriend. But I really just didn't see it coming, so I was really pleasantly surprised. And I feel like I can't have any coherent thoughts on this story, but I just really liked it.
I gave this story a 5 out of 5 as well. It was one of my favorites of the book. I loved the cute, like, the whole trying to guess his name, because he goes by Ben, but it's not Benjamin, and it's not, like, that entire thing just throughout the story was very like cohesive, and I liked it. It was very cute. I loved that it turns out that the boyfriend is learning Spanish. That was amazing to me.
Cute.
I loved that. And, of course, saving Candy with the money she had saved. And there was something else. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know. I liked that he kept trying to figure out what to give Candy as food. That was funny. And
For him, though.
yeah.
Rice pudding.
The only thing that did we ever find out why he was in juvie?
No.
That bugs me.
Damn it, I didn't even realize I never answered that, and that's gonna bother me now. Thanks, Cassie.
Yeah, sorry. That bugs me so much. I'm just like, why do we not ever find out? But I do like that we do find out the name finally, and yeah, I guess that's all
there's a lot of dynamics in this book, in this story, like so many characters, so many dynamics, so many different directions, but like it was all flowed well in such a short period of time, and I thought that was really well done. So now it makes me want to read one of her books. Which one does she do? Paranormal Sea? That the one?
That's really good. I would like that. Brittany,
now
that's like totally up your alley.
Is it? I gotta read it now.
It's got fairies and vampires and all of your favorite stuff.
It is so good. I read that in like high school, I think, before BookTube, and loved it. I want to reread it.
And the main character is just so funny.
Awesome. All right, we're on to our last two, guys.
Okay, before y'all jump onto the last two, I'm actually going to cut out because I did not get to finish these stories because I was doing homework last night. So I don't want to give a rating to a story I didn't finish. I don't think that would be fair. So I am going to cut out now. But I want to thank everybody who joined in on the Bibliothon. It was so awesome. I had so much fun. I loved seeing all the entries into the videos and stuff. And I'm super looking forward to the next one. So, yes, I guess I'm going to go.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
We have two more.
Okay.
Okay. So last two.
Christmas tree carrying boyfriend.
They can see you, hun. That's so funny. I'm keeping him cooped upstairs. You may come down and listen. So
He's like, screw that, I'm going upstairs.
So Allie Carter, 4.5. This is the one I actually really enjoyed. This one. This is with the Hulga and how they changed tickets, I believe, and then they went to different places. And I like that she ended up in this like small town. I had no idea where she was going, but the only reason like I docked it was because one, I found it unrealistic. Like one, you're young, 2 kids, and you're not just gonna like give away your ticket and then not know where you're going the whole flight because they say it like all the time and it's on your ticket and they look at your passport. Like I just found that I was like, that wouldn't happen. So that kind of bugged me. I didn't like that, but I guess it kept it mysterious to go into that like unknown area. And then I really liked the family. I love how, I think it was her grandma, how she was she just felt really happy that she was there even though she knew that it wasn't actually Helga or Holga or whatever her name was.
You mean the aunt?
Yeah, and because she lost her daughter and so she didn't care and she just was like trying to get her involved in everything so she felt happy. And then the Ethan character was just like this farm boy and I really liked that and I thought they just had a really cute dynamic, a cute relationship. And then with the end where she was like that, what is it, that famous person or something, and she was like singing, and then magically the helicopter came down together. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the family. I just was confused of like the unrealisticness of like the beginning and the end. Like I was like,
yeah.
But yeah, Red.
I didn't like this story, like, at all. I pretty much felt like this story has basically been done a billion times. It was so cliche. This is basically like an even worse Hannah Montana movie. I mean, you get a famous girl that ends up with like all these country people not knowing that she's famous because somehow nobody can recognize her face, except for like little girls or whatever. You know, but seriously, she's basically a Hannah Montana. It was a bad Hannah Montana movie, you know. She falls in love with this country boy. She ends up falling in love with the small town people. What other movies is this kind of like? There's that one movie, and I can't remember what it's called, and I think it's from like the 90s, and it's got,
What's it
I can't
about?
remember. Pauly Shore, is that the...
Oh,
Basically, it's about this country
son-in-law.
girl. You know what movie I'm talking about?
Is it son-in-law?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Son-in-Law. It kind of reminds me of Son-in-Law. And then there's another movie. It's got Sarah Jessica Parker. You know, there's city people that end up going into witness protection program, and they get sent to like a country place. And at first they hate it, you know, because it's so like small town. But then they end up loving everybody in it, and everybody's a big family. Basically, this has just been done so many times, and this wasn't even done well. I just did not like it. I just wanted something new, and this felt like a really, really bad TV movie or something.
Yeah, I felt the same. I gave it a 3, but like honestly, I probably would rate it lower than that, like a 2 or something. And I didn't like. I had a feeling that what it was going to end up being that she was running away from, or like how will they find me or whatever, would be something like this. But what I wanted it to be was like she's running away from, like she sees her opportunity to run away from an abusive dad or something.
Yeah,
like,
I would have liked that more, you know.
Me too, because then, and like the same exact ending could have been, you know, they're in a small town, the judge is right there and all that. That still would have worked out fine, and they didn't need to do like any sort of like ugly ending with an abusive whoever. But I just felt like this was stupid. Like, why didn't anyone recognize her in the airport? Like, like she would have had an entourage. Why was she going by herself? First of all, like what? And then the same thing with like it just being unrealistic of her not knowing where she was going. And I also didn't feel any sort of connection with any of the family that she's living with, like Ethan, or that's his name, right? The boy that she's supposed to be dating. I didn't find any connection with him or with like the aunt, who we're supposed to kind of care about the most, I think, because she lost her daughter and everything. Like, I don't give a shit that she cares about this girl. Like, I just didn't care. So this.
Yeah, I feel like this story was just not going to end well because it has been done before so many times. Oh, I thought of another movie that it's like. It was called Horse Sense. It was another Disney Channel movie, and it had like the Lawrence brothers in it, and he was like a rich. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you ever see that where like the cousin is like super city, you know, rich and everything, and after he kind of shows his little cousin a bad time in the city who's from the ranch, his parents make him go out to the ranch, and he really hates it there, but then it turns out that he ends up like loving the family and the people that he gets to know. And again, it's just been done so many times, and it was done so poorly. And there was really something else I wanted to add. Oh, yeah, when I first started reading the story, I thought that it was from a guy's perspective. It took me a little while to figure out that the character was a girl.
I did the same.
I heard like Ali Cardi's writing, like a lot of people say that with her books just like don't mesh with them. So maybe I'm curious now to try one of her books. I think she did that new like Atlantia or something.
Yeah, I've read her Matched and Reached, and I haven't finished the series yet. But I really liked them when I read them, but also I read them like in 9th grade or something. So I want to reread them and see if I still like them before I read the 3rd one in the series.
Yeah.
But let's move on to
the last story. And Laini Taylor. So like I was saying before, I've read the whole Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and so going into this I was really curious because like that once you guys read that book, like they're really good, but they're very out there and very different and like weird. It's weird and weird characters. So I was curious on how she would kind of fit into this, and I rated it 2 out of 5 stars because like she kept to her style and her fantasy and her kind of weirdness, but it just doesn't work for a short story. Like I was confused. I read the first like 5 pages probably like 3 times, and then I was like, okay, I'm really confused, and I'm still confused. So I don't really have much to say on it right now, other than I love her style. Doesn't work for a short story, and I was confused. Yes, read.
I really liked it. I probably would rate it 4.5 stars. I feel like it had a very like Hans Christian Andersen-y feel to it, which I really, really like because I'm a huge fairy tale person, and this felt like a darker fairy tale. And if you've ever read any, like a lot of people when they think of fairy tales, they think of like Snow White, Cinderella, like Grimm Brothers fairy tales. But if you've ever read any of Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, they're very dark. They're definitely very, very dark stories. And this reminded me of his stories, which I loved the whole like hill covered in feathers. I like the whole tradition of like the dead flower on the porch and the gifts. And I kind of liked the orphan idea and her relationship with these twins that we never met. I really liked the story, and I kind of liked the sort of fantasy fairy tale magicalness of it. Like it was very like warm and fuzzy feeling for me. I just really liked it. The only thing that I would kind of mark it down for is the ending, and not really because I had a problem with the ending necessarily, but it was kind of abrupt and rushed to me. That was like my biggest issue with the story, was that I felt the ending was just like, just was there. But I really liked when I didn't like he wasn't a priest, but like the pastor, reverend guy. I really liked him as a villain. Like I didn't like him, but I loved not liking him. He's like that character you love to hate. And I really enjoyed him as part of the story, so I loved it when he totally showed up. And I loved that the god, rather than just saying, hey, I'm a god, I can take you away from here, he decided to go and do the gifts on the doorstep like the proper way, but they're all super cool gifts. I don't know, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I gave this story, okay, in this book, I give it a 3, but if it was a standalone, I would give it a 4, because this is the only other one where I felt like this story did not belong with the rest of them, so I don't understand why it's in here. But yeah, I really liked it. I skimmed through a lot of it because I was reading it late at night and I wanted to finish it and go to sleep. So I really want to reread this story because I did enjoy it, definitely. I liked all of the aspects of it, the gift giving, the fact that the pastor finds her interesting, the fact that she all of the negative parts of like her life. The storyline was very cool, and I liked the magic of the dreamer who shows up, the god, and yeah, it felt very amazing. It would look very pretty too. Like imagining it was really fun, and I would really want to see it turned into a movie because I just want the visuals.
Right.
Yeah, it looked.
Why you guys read The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, because you'll both enjoy it, because she's so in depth and so quirky that you need that time for it, and I think it was just the wrong book for her.
Yeah, I agree. I really want to read that series, but yeah, so I just felt like it didn't belong in this book. Like it didn't feel the same way of the rest of them, along with that one. What did I say it was? Krampusloff? Was the other one? Yeah. But I said those two stories just don't really belong with the rest of them, which is why I didn't like them as much, but I like them on their own, which is weird.
And to end it off like that was kind of weird too.
Yeah, why did we end on such a weird? It was so weird. I mean, I liked it, but it was weird.
Stuff didn't bother and it might just come back down to our own expectations of the book. I kind of, after the second story, I definitely came to the conclusion that this is not meant to be a contemporary book. This is not meant to be in any sort of genre. It is simply what it's described as, is a collection of short stories set around winter.
Yeah.
And
I guess, it was more of the expectation.
So I think the only reason sometimes some of the people in our group are having trouble with it is because they automatically were expecting 12 contemporary stories, and it never claims to have 12 contemporary stories. They're just 12 short stories, and I think when that expectation was kind of shattered, I feel like it affected some of your views on some of the stories, whereas for me, I'm very, I guess, adaptable, go with the flow. I guess it's the same way that usually book-to-movie adaptations don't bother me as much as other people, because I just judge most things on their own merit.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is all of the stories. We got through them all.
Yes, I was just going to the Twitter, and I just want to say thank you for everyone in the kind comments. There's not really any questions going on, but thank you for all the kind comments and watching the live show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like that we're cracking you up here and there.
And we're just so happy that everyone is participating. We really just expected the 5 of us to have some fun and get to know each other better and all that stuff, but it was amazing to get to know some of you guys too, and I'm so happy that this was a success and that we're doing it again and that we're not, This is
This
it.
is absolutely amazing, and it's really hard for me to accept the fact that it's over because I've just been because I felt like it was just this event that was just coming. It's like Christmas, and then it was just finally here, and we were in the middle of it, and no matter what you had going on in your day, it didn't matter because it was still the Bibliothon, and you still had something to do and celebrate, and it was super exciting, and now it's over, and it's really sad, and now it's like December 26th.
But we get to start planning for the summer one, so we will be doing that, and you guys will be hearing more from us via the Twitter and all that stuff. So
and like before, we'll announce the reading challenges like probably around a week and a half before it starts, and then the video challenges much sooner than that because we like to give you guys lots of time to be able to pre-film for the challenges. Because
we know that those are a lot of time consuming.
So thank you everyone that actually did the video challenges because we know how much work it is and how much goes into it and how much time you took for it, and we just enjoyed watching it. It was just like the best thing ever. So good. So good. And
thank you guys for making this such an amazing experience.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So with that, we're going to end this broadcast, this show, and we will see you guys very soon on our own channels.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.